1, 2, 3. Welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
Hello?
It's just me, Carly.
It's just me, Carly, your host, John Davin. I'm undercover.
Is Dr. McCoy with you?
No, he's not. Just
Actually, kind of.
Yeah, well, we have Hank McCoyette, if that's close enough for you.
That's close. I feel like that's pretty close. I didn't put doctor in front of him because I forgot he was a doctor for a minute. But yes, my name is Andre Myatt. Although for the purpose of this episode, you can refer to me as Hank McCoyette. I like how I guess it still works the same because in this episode, Wolverine used the alias John Logan, and I guess Logan, it's unsure if that's his first or last name. Because he has a mononym. I just thought it was funny that yours is just two first names.
Yeah.
Although Davin does sound like a last name. I mean,
it could be.
If I ran into a John Davin, I probably wouldn't blink an eye. I'd be like, "Oh, that's interesting, Scandinavian." And then if they didn't say anything to my liking, I'd just walk away.
Jan Davin.
Jan Davin. Very Northman.
Yeah, exactly.
We're
to review season 2, episode 10, Beauty and the Beast of the beloved X-Men the animated series.
You gonna sing it along with me?
Written by
A Tale as Old as
Stephanie,
Time.
of course I am. Stephanie J. Matheson. And, this is her first episode of the series, but she does write one more. Now, continue the song.
Oh God, I think I had it.
Beauty and the Beast.
Just a little change, small to say the least. Both a little scared, neither one prepared. Beauty and the Beast. I'm not a great singer, so I apologize.
I couldn't remember the words, even though I listened to that one enough.
I know that movie obviously was not originally created by Disney, as it's an old story. But when did that Disney film come out? It must have been around the time of this episode.
I would think Beauty and the Beast was something more like 90. Yeah, geez, like 92, 90. Yeah, so it probably would have been pretty fresh. Like, it was probably a pretty fresh reference, pop culture reference.
1991 it came out.
Okay, so they've had like 2 or 3 years to.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it wasn't the first adaptation of that. There was a German one and some other ones.
There was a TV show starring Armin Shimmerman. Well.
I like how you didn't mention either of the two title characters from that show, who are both famous actors in their own right now, Linda Hamilton and Ron Perlman. You go to Armin Shimmerman, who played Quark. Which is great.
I did.
I mean, that is great.
Because the future is Ferengi and female.
Ooh, very nice. That's very cool. What is that a newer series?
Yeah, it's it's a one shot, but it just came out.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. You got Moogie on there.
That is Moogie.
Yes, very nice.
Yeah, I'll be reviewing that on Locutors of Trek.
Don't be plugging that bullshit yet. We don't get time for that.
All right. Well, before we do anything, let's rewind like it's apostrophe 92 when you used to rewind things.
What is that from?
Rewind like it's apostrophe. That's the intro to the Japanese show.
Oh, right.
Like it's the Japanese intro to this show.
That's pretty great. I forgot about that. It's been like 10 episodes since we did that. I can't keep track.
Yeah, no, I'm bringing it back.
All right. Well, you're rewinding. It's just like
exactly because it's rewind like it's apostrophe 92.
Did you were you one of those fancy upscale families that had a homemade rewind or like a singular VCR rewinder, or did you just use the VCR like the rest of us peasants?
Oh, we had a rewinder though. I didn't know it made us upscale.
Oh, for sure. I didn't have that bull. Didn't have that bull. I'd use the VCR like a surf.
Oh, me too. But you could wear out your VCR that way.
Yeah, but I couldn't. What else I could use? I didn't have a rewinder.
If you didn't have
I can't watch Austin Powers on VHS from the end all the way through.
$15 at your nearest flea market.
I'd have to get a knife and just rewind it back the entire time without going through the machine. I got time for that.
the reason we are rewinding like it's apostrophe 92 is I want to talk about Time Fugitives for a minute, which we reviewed a couple episodes ago.
What did you forget, Devin? What did you forget?
I didn't forget anything. I got new information from the great Larry Houston, who often drops tidbits that we can use on this show. So, funny thing, because in Time Fugitives, it was sort of like the same episode again, but just things different. So apparently, they got both episodes back because they were having them drawn at the same time from two different studios that didn't have, like, the people drawing Time Fugitives 2 had no reference. They couldn't see Time Fugitives 1 or anything.
Horrible planning. My God, how would you do that?
So they got them back, and Larry Houston realized it wasn't going to work, and he had to completely redraw the battle scene from Time Fugitives 2 because it just didn't match.
Why couldn't you have just took the footage from the first one?
Yeah. Well, I think he might have, and then added some things. But,
interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That is cool. Interesting. That seems like a lot of extra work, unfortunately.
Yeah. He said, yeah. So,
very
he said
cool.
It falled on him as being the director.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah, well. So, a little extra work for him that week.
It's lonely at the top.
Well, let's get back to Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, your voice is much nicer than mine.
Well, I'm a bit of a singer in my day job.
Oh, yes, a bit of a songsmith, if you will. A minstrel of sorts. I like minstrel. Do you ever watch Gru, or you ever read Gru comics?
Oh, Gru the Wanderer. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I like
one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
The minstrel, I can't remember. I think his name was just the minstrel. Did he have a name? He was one of my favorite characters. He's the one that's always doing the introductions. He'd sing the intro, to each episode. Or each issue, rather. But yeah, anyway. All right, so we are at X-Men. I'm the king of the Divergent, so just go off.
Oh, that's what we do.
Yes, I need a TVA jacket for I am a Divergent Andre. We are talking about episode 10 of season 2 of X-Men the Animated Review Show. And this episode is, of course, entitled Beauty and the Beast, because it's about Beast. Everybody's favorite furry blue guy.
And, so we've been lamenting the lack of Beast that we
I don't know of one episode out of 10. I mean, he was featured somewhat in maybe less than a minute on 2 episodes prior to this one, 2 or 3. So I don't know if a full episode makes up for it, but it is nice to get it. So we're happy to see her friend back. We do love Beast. We do love.
And spoiler for later, I like this episode a lot.
I did too. There's some real emotional stuff going on in this one, which is nice. George Buzza, of course.
You could say this is a great episode. I'm not gonna spoil my rating, but this is.
I think you just did. It's obviously a 10, Devin. I mean, anybody with half a brain could probably piece together what you're getting at here. I'm not gonna say a certain person in the school.
You don't think a 9 is a great episode?
A certain person in the school. Let's call her Elle Simpson. No, that's too obvious. Lisa S.
No, let's go with Lisa S. That's
it. All right, so we join ourselves at the hospital where Beast works at. Apparently, never ever referenced before that he worked at a hospital, or was this kind of a doctor? It always seemed like
he's a doctor. They call him doctor all the time.
He always seemed to be a geneticist because he's always doing genetic stuff. They never.
Well, I think that is what he's doing. I suspect this thing they're working on has something to do with genetics.
I guess
because it's like he's fixing a genetic defect.
Well, they didn't.
Carly was born blind.
They don't actually say that anywhere in the episode.
Oh, they say she was born blind.
Did they? I don't recall that.
Yeah, well, she says that she asks him what it would be like to see. She's never seen.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, that is true. So yes, it is.
Medical science, much like the construction of a great cathedral, is the work of many hands.
Is it just me, or does Beast feel like he'd be exhausting to hang out with? Like, I love the guy as he's depicted in this series, but if like in a real world kind of situation, if every time I brought up anything, even just minuscule, and he had this diatribe that was like 6 paragraphs long about it, I don't know if I could handle that on a regular basis.
See, now I know you don't listen to my Star Trek podcast because my co-host on there is essentially Beast.
Oh, really? Does he wax poetic? Does he give these very
about everything all the time, about anything?
I just picture him at the grocery store.
That's
like
basically the theme of our show. We let Dave, my co-host Dave, talk about anything he wants and wax poetic through the lens of Star Trek.
Well, that's nice. I like the sound of that.
Mhm.
And I can't chastise you for not listening to my show because I know you do. So
Yeah, exactly.
anyway,
One of us is the supportive one in this relationship.
Well,
Excuse me while I eat a brownie.
one of us is busier than the others. Is that a normal brownie? Is that an above board brownie? What's going on here? Do I have to alert the authorities? Oh wait, we're in Canada. It's okay. You're allowed to eat that brownie. Is there weed in that brownie, Dad?
I wouldn't refer to it as particularly above board.
Mm-hmm. Meaning that there's other things in that brownie. Can you do the show being messed up a little bit? Because I don't think I could. I think I'd be just too. I wouldn't be enjoy. I wouldn't. I think I'd be too paranoid. I think I'd be like, like, can they tell? Can they tell I'm fucked up? Oh no, what's that?
Oh, I'll be fine.
All right, good. You have a long history with these substances, I take it. Me, not so much. I mean, I like. I'm not so much a smoker. I like the sprays or the pills. Usually, I just take them before I go to bed.
There's sprays?
Yeah, it's just like oil that you spray in your mouth.
What?
Yeah, liquor at the NSLC, baby.
What a miracle age we live in.
There's mints that are 10 milligrams, just a mint that you eat. Those are great. There's all kinds of cool stuff out there. Yeah, I know. The world's your oyster, baby.
Here I am eating brownies like an old man.
Not your grandfather's weed consumption. Fucking grandpa over here still hanging out at Woodstock talking about that time he had sex with Joni Mitchell. And the rest of us out here in the modern times using sprays and mints. Anyway, we see Beast working with a blind patient. We soon quickly find out is Carly Crocker, who is shown.
Oh, did we get her last name?
Well, we do on this thing that I'm reading. I think it was in the cast list. Shown to the X-Men by Dr. Alan Bolson. I don't know if we got his last name either, but that is his last name. A handsome blonde. Do we get his name in that?
Oh yeah. Beast calls him Alan, and he calls himself Dr. Bolson.
Yes. He makes some jokes. He does kind of resemble Angel quite a bit as a blonde, sexy blonde guy. Doctor.
He's a good character. There's a lot of good side characters in this episode. This episode is just really well done.
It's kind of nice when we drop in on like the lives of people outside of just X-Men stuff. So like, Beast obviously works at this hospital and has for a while. Probably helping out with genetic issues. Obviously, there's a bit of a history with him and Carly, helping out on her eye situation with Dr. Alan Bolson. So Beast promises to Carly that she will be getting the surgery the next day to restore her eyesight after all this work they've been putting in. However, smoke starts to fill the room, so Beast gets Carly and Alan and climbs out the building with them to be met by an anti-mutant mob who we've met before, also known as the Friends of Humanity.
There he is! Henry McCoy! President Kelly's favorite mutant, holding a human girl!
That voice has been used in a lot of... Is he Beastly? I'm almost sure he's Beastly on Care Bears.
I can't believe you just pulled that out of your head.
Is it Beastly?
Is it one of my points? That's Beastly.
Yes!
All right. Well, you're spoiling my next point, but
I knew that voice. I knew it. The second I heard it, I was like, man, that sounds familiar.
You just needed him to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Care Bear.
He's played by the Canadian, famed Canadian voice actor John Stalker.
I do believe a lot
he was Beastly on Care Bears and a lot of other things.
Yes, he had voice in other things as well, but Beastly sticks out in my head because obviously being a Canadian kid, there was a lot of Care Bears hanging around when I was growing up, and I obviously watched my fair share of them. So, that's amazing. Yeah,
I think there's different Care Bears for different countries.
Oh, really?
When I was reading this up about John Stalker, it said he was Beastly in the Nelvana version of Care Bears, which Nelvana was a Canadian company that produced a lot of Canadian stuff.
Yeah, they did raccoons as well, I believe, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is also a deeply Canadian show. Was he a voice for the raccoons? Because that sounds familiar too.
He's probably.
All right, cool. That's awesome. I mean, I'm really glad I pulled that out because there was something about him from the start.
I mean, thanks for ruining my X point, but
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. We just got it out early.
Yeah, he definitely sounds like Beastly, that's for sure.
What a legend, though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that voice is very recognizable to most Canadian children around our age. So the Friends of Humanity are back. Apparently, they just know the Beast at this hospital now and are coming to cause trouble.
Holding a human girl.
A human girl. So they lead the mob until the police arrive. Later, the police arrive, break things up. Later, Jean Grey and Wolverine are watching the fight in the news. Wolverine angry at the Friends of
But
Humanity
but before that though, like Beast has so many sick lines. Like,
oh yeah, he does actually. Do you have any
Perhaps
of
you
those?
self-appointed social engineers don't
Yeah.
realize the crucial role mutation plays in species evolution.
self-appointed social engineers. Oh god, I love
Which
that.
is the nicest way you could call it. The nicest thing you could probably call a racist. Like,
Well, then he
you
calls
know.
them gentlemen here.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, gentlemen. Your anger at the inexorable alienation of late 20th century life is sadly misdirected.
God, the writing is so good in this episode.
That line is
It's
is
genius.
great. I mean, well, yeah. Once again, it is written like a smart guy trying to sound like a smart guy, but I do really like it, especially because it's still relevant even to today. Sadly,
But Beast is not a smart guy pretending to be a smart guy. He's just a smart guy.
yeah. But I don't know I know some pretty smart people. Like I know a friend is one of my friends is a professor at the Copenhagen University, and he doesn't talk like that. You know,
Look, listen to my Star Trek podcast. These people exist.
Well, I feel people like that. I feel like have to study or work hard to appear intelligent as well as just be intelligent. That seems like too much work for me. I'd rather curse.
Too much work for me as well. That's why
I'd rather
be the
curse
dumb
and just
one on
be
our Star Trek
intelligent.
podcast.
Yeah, I like to think I'm moderately intelligent, and I don't think I need a robust vocabulary in order to come off that way. But you know, Beast is both. He's maybe his mutant power is partially being super smart too.
Robust, la-di-da, Mr. Frenchman.
Ooh, sorry. What do you call it? Car hole.
I call it a car hole.
Let's just pepper these things with Simpsons quotes and hope that we have old enough listeners to understand our references.
Every week I have to fight the urge to start a Simpsons podcast, man. I love old Simpsons so much.
Well, there's a great line here because Wolverine. Do you have the Wolverine's line when he sees the footage of them attacking the hospital? So Beast beats up the guys.
I have at least
before we get to that, Beast beats up the guys. Please show up. They disperse. And then we cut to Wolverine watching the footage online and getting upset. Yes, and Jean.
Attacking a hospital for the blind. Just let me alone with those clowns for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes.
You gotta have the classic Wolverine.
And he's like in a room just with Jean, which is funny. Like, who's he showing off for? I guess Jean, but
that was some serious, like, threatening, like, tone he had.
Oh yeah, and there's even more
minutes.
So Jean says,
this one's kind of funny. Well, this just made me laugh.
We have to approach this delicately.
Yeah,
Delicately.
And then she says, the Friends of Humanity thrive in public hatred of mutants. We can't help their cause by Purin being a rampage. He goes, all right, Jean, for now. But I'm going after them. And if we don't find a kinder, gentler way to shut them down, there's going to be a few less Friends of Humanity around stinking on the planet. I'm reading
which so pays off later. I'm just going to skip ahead for a second because I don't have the clip. So he eventually does. Let's just say he eventually gets to some Friends of Humanity, and he calls Jean, and he's just like, I got some Friends of Humanity. If you want them alive, you might want to get here fast.
It's pretty great. Wolverine just forces the issue. He's like, I got to get in there and fuck these guys up. And it's like, hey, if you want to come pick up the pieces before I actually murder them, here's your chance.
Yeah. I'm giving you 10 minutes.
So, of course, Jean is upset that Professor isn't there to help them during this troubling time. To offer them a nice egg during this troubling time for those sunny. It's always sunny in Philadelphia fans. And then, of course, that gives us the great juxtaposition to jump to the Savage Land, in which we see Professor X and Magneto still plugging away. How long do you think they've been going through the Savage Land? Because it seems like weeks have passed in the regular world.
It's definitely been weeks, right?
They're just like camping out.
There's been a lot of episodes and a lot of crazy things have happened. Some of those episodes happened over days.
They have no change of clothes. They've been wearing the same outfit for probably weeks now. Wandering through the woods, eating whatever they can find, I guess.
Magneto never changes his clothes.
Yeah, but you got to clean him at some point. You think he probably has
why do you think they were in that swamp?
Yeah. So then they eventually
I like Professor's line, though. He's just like, I like having my legs back, but I never thought for a second I'd be walking through a swamp.
Yeah. Talk about ungrateful. The man gets the ability to walk again after a lifetime of not being able to walk, and he's mad that he has to walk through mud. He can walk.
Born with a silver spoon in his mouth. I walked in 50 swamps by the time I was 10.
That's right. And you didn't regain the use of your legs to do it, and you were damn lucky to do it.
No, in some of the swamps, I lost the use of my legs.
The malaria caught up to me. So anyway,
that blue-tailed fly.
They're eventually caught in a trap and taken in by Amphibious, who is another one of these mutants that is apparently, I mean, we haven't really got this information overtly said yet, but it's very much indicated that another mutant created by Magneto in the Savage Land that now serves a new master.
Were it up to me, I'd feed you to my friends.
Which are crocodiles or alligators, if I recall correctly. I like amphibian-based villains. Like
Amphibious is his name too.
I know, but amphibian-based villains, amphibious. Yeah, not a lot of creativity went into the thinking of this name. I don't think Magneto
Or any
is
of
the
them.
best.
He's just like,
Yeah.
you're barbarous, you're amphibious, you're horses. This is the horse
Horses.
Like-
There's a fox. You're like foxes.
Foxes.
Vulpinus. Just something with their genus or their kingdom, their phylum,
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
that they can use to differentiate them. So amphibious takes him on a raft. The raft's attacked by either one large creature or a two-headed creature. It's not very clear. It kind of looks like the Loch Ness monster.
or like that, what is it? Ghidorah.
Ghidorah from
Yeah.
Godzilla. That has three
Yeah.
heads.
Yeah, well, he had that
King,
look.
and it's King Ghidorah. Put respect on his name, please. He is a king.
Fair enough.
Also the villain of Godzilla 2, King of the Monsters, if I recall correctly, the American version. And somewhat involved in the third one, as he is seeming to be the base of Mechagodzilla. That's a spoiler if you haven't seen that yet, which is great. I actually really do like the Kong vs. Godzilla movie. It was a lot of fun.
Oh,
So-
yeah, I didn't see that yet.
Yeah, it's by Adam Wingard, who does a lot of he did You're Next and I think Ready or Not, and some kind of smaller horror movies, exploitation kind of.
Oh, was
throwback
Ready
movies.
or Not that weird? No, maybe it's not. Maybe
It's the one with the girl gets married and the family has to play a game. They play hide and seek. They
Oh
try
yeah, I
to-
love that movie. That was
yeah.
hilarious.
I'm pretty sure he did that. If he didn't, he had something to do with it. But he
very
did
cool.
You're Next. He did a few other movies that are kind of like that, which is really good. He did the Fear Street movie, I think, for Netflix too. Some of those ones, the ones that were the sort of goosebumpy ones that were on there. Do you watch any of those? The 3-parters. Anyway, we're
Of
going
what
off.
now?
The Fear Street.
Oh yeah, I watched those. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he had something to do with those. I don't know if he directed.
I
them,
liked
though.
those too. I mean, one of
Yeah.
them I remember was way better than the other ones.
He did not do Ready or Not, but he did do The Guest, which is another movie
Oh.
starring Dan Stevens, which is very good. He directed the Blair Witch movie, the new one, and he did the Netflix version of Death Note, which I know was not liked by many, but I haven't watched it, so I cannot comment. But
Not either.
anyway, we get back to this. While the others are distracted by the monster, Magneto and Xavier toss themselves into the drink and swim to safety.
I will
Oh
not
crap!
allow
My
some
fingers slipped.
filthy mutant to touch my
Is your fingers
daughter.
just resting on
Marley's father.
buttons 24/7?
Sometimes.
Okay. I'll tell you. Well, I digress too much. A funny story. Early on in my theater career, I did sound for a play, and I had to do a gunshot that went off, and I had my finger resting on the button, and someone said something to me, and I turned and hit the button, and it went off way too early. When the gun was still in someone's hand, he was supposed to throw it out a window, and then it was going to go off. Then they covered, but it was not good. So it was before I started acting.
And
It was just when I was
Andre
getting
never
involved.
worked sound again. And you
Well,
wonder
no,
why I do
actually,
the
I
sound
haven't. I
effects
moved
on
on
this
to
shit.
acting, and I've been doing that ever since. So, but I have done lots of roles in theater aside from just acting. But yeah, no, I really turfed that one real bad. So yeah, somehow they can swim without the use of their arms, which I find interesting. But they managed to make
Oh,
it
you
back.
can do that for a little bit.
Okay, so in
Oh,
a
yeah.
swamp, in a muddy swamp in the Savage Land.
Yeah, we used to practice that in swimming lessons.
Jeez, what kind of fucking Alex Jones bunker swimming lessons were you in?
I grew up in a hard place.
Did you? Was it a commune or some kind of a what do you call those things where people grow? What do you call? Is it a commune? When
No,
all
it
these
was-
people live in the woods and they just obviously it's run by a cult leader of some kind. One of those commune is that what they call this?
It was the Windsor, Nova Scotia area. 3 Mile Plains as well.
Okay, were you with a group of people living in the woods off the grid or something?
No?
Okay. Anyway, I feel like there's a darker story here, and I think I'm going to get it eventually.
My
Probably
phone's
will.
ringing, but I'm not going to answer it because I care about you, dear listener.
Well, you can take it if you want. Who is it?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Do you need to go anyway?
Apparently I have a flat tire. That sucks.
Oh, geez. Your car just got a flat tire while you're on this podcast?
Apparently.
Interesting. Well, if anybody wants to contribute to buying Gavin a new tire, you can do a GoFundMe campaign. and send the money to Devin Scalehorn at care of devinscalehorn.com. That's not an actual address, but reach out to the show if you want to buy Devin a new tire. Because
The name's John Davin.
Yes,
I don't know
sorry.
this Davin Scalehorn.
Sorry, Mr. Davin. Sorry, John Davin.
Logan. John Logan.
So they get back to the shore and then escape once again. This is like the 5th time they've almost got caught or killed and managed to escape, which I find funny. Like anytime in a movie, like the Fast and Furious movies are full of these, which is part of the reason why I don't watch them. I mean, there's many reasons why I don't watch them. But anytime a movie has a central cast of characters that just narrowly avoid death in succession, like 17 times through the run of the movie, I remember my wife was watching, I think it was 2012 one time, and I sat and watched some of it with her. In the span of like 10 minutes, they almost get hit by a plane. They're driving on, like they just avoid the plane. They're driving on the road. The road's collapsing. They're like going off a piece onto the next piece, driving the next piece, surviving, just missing that. They miss something else. Like it's just like ridiculous. I don't know how long these guys can keep attempting fate and living. But I assume since we're getting close to the end of the season, all will be revealed and probably the set piece will be put back in place. But who knows? So we cut back to the hospital where Al is showing it says, yeah, this is wrong. So in the other room, Carly's father is upset. Does he show footage? Does he have like a camera that recorded like Carly's father getting upset?
Not allow some
No,
filthy
there's no
mutant to touch
Yeah, he's in the
my
other room.
daughter.
Carly's father.
Yeah, he's talking to like some receptionist or something.
Yeah, so they say that there's a little snag with the thing going on tomorrow, and then Carly's father's upset in the other room that a filthy mutant, in his words not mine, is going to operate on his daughter. So then Alan tells him that the board is worried about the attention that he's bringing with all the stuff going on. So Beast goes back to the mansion and has a particularly poignant emotional moment with Jean Grey. Because he's frustrated as he loves Carly, but he can't be with her because of the fact that he's a mutant. Do you have any of this dialogue?
Yeah. Well,
Hank, is that you?
How did you know?
Your aftershave lotion.
Do you like it?
That's before that. That's when he's going to touch.
I wanted to see.
Yeah, so Beast tells her that he can't be with her during her surgery. He makes up a reason, not saying it's her father. He says he has this urgent business. She's upset because she wanted to see him. And there's some dialogue which indicates that she has feelings for him. So Beast goes back to Pine in his room, in which he looks at a photo of himself as he becomes blue. And like first he's a regular baby, and then around the teenage years he becomes blue, and then the hair gets bigger and bigger. He's posing with his parents and his family, so it seems as though he had a good relationship with them. But through the dialogue with Jean, he reveals that because of his appearance, he had to leave his family behind so they wouldn't be targeted or hurt. And now he's doing the same for Carly, and it's tearing him up inside because he loves her. Jean Grey tells him that he should let her decide if she wants to put herself at risk because it's not fair for him to make that decision for her. And which is a fair point. I mean, superhero fiction is full of this. I have a task that I need to perform, be it Batman or Spider-Man, both of which those movies have done this, in which he can't be with the person they want to be with because they're afraid they'll be targeted or hurt. Because
and there's always someone in those things that says, "Why don't you let them decide?" As they say in this as well, like that. But that's always a good point as well.
Yes. It's that Alfred advice / I don't know if Spider-Man had anybody tell him that. I think he just did. Although in The Amazing Spider-Man, it's like in those movies, it's like the worst because at the end of the movie, well, her father dies. Gwen Stacy's dad's like, don't get involved with my daughter. She'll die if she's close to you, just like I'm dying right now. Promise me that, Peter. He promises him. Then dates her anyway, and then she dies. It's like the most, because a villain that targets her. It's like the most, like, I love
That's why he didn't get a third movie.
I love Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. It was lovely. He was a great Peter Parker, or great, and Spider-Man too. But those movies are deeply flawed. I know through the lens of nostalgia, and because he appeared in obviously the new Spider-Man movie, that people are reappraising it, but they're still not great. They're really
no, and he was not a great Peter Parker.
Yeah, he's a better Spider-Man, I think.
But, yeah, because he was a bit more of a jerk. Like Tobey Maguire, but I never really got about his Spider-Man. His Spider-Man isn't this like super sweet, soft guy. Peter can be, but Spider-Man is kind of a jerk, and that's why nobody likes him.
Well, yeah, but
Like,
it's all a mask for dealing with the
insecurities
stress of,
and all kinds
and
of
dealing
things.
with the stress of
Absolutely,
being a
but
superhero.
it's still that's the outward way he acts. And he's like, and that's how Garfield kind of did his Spider-Man. He was kind of a jerk to the thugs he was beating up in the alley.
Yeah, so at some point in here, and I think it's right here, we see Wolverine in disguise, wearing a t-shirt and a ball cap and sunglasses, going into the Friends of Humanity and purposely beating himself up a little bit against the door, so that when the Humanity guys come out to check on him, he he's all hurt and says that a mutant beat him up, so they bring him inside.
I know the stuff you were looking for. Sorry, ma'am, you were looking for this.
You're beautiful.
So are you.
No.
What about me?
No, it's way too early.
You're all right.
Oh, whoops.
We didn't get to that at all. That's coming up actually right now, in fact. So it's all right that you played it.
Okay.
So then we cut to Jean. When Jean told Beast to go back to the hospital, we see the Wolverine stuff. We cut back to Carly getting her bandages removed, and Beast does show up. His Jean's words instilled in him that maybe he should be there. Which is odd that her father's not there when this is happening. Because he comes in, they take the bandages
He comes
off.
busting in, but
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And he's like, "What are you doing here?" But before that happens, Beast comes in and she removes the bandages and she sees him and she says he's beautiful, which is a very touching moment because he's worried she may be afraid of him based on how he looks, and he cares for her so deeply.
But why don't you have soft fur like Hank's?
I have a better razor.
Which is a nice line. I do like how
Bolson's just like, "What about me?" She's just like, "You're okay."
yeah, he's like the super handsome doctor, and there's like
Yeah.
this basic ape man in front of her, and she's like, but that's the beauty of it, that she's in love with
Yeah.
him and maybe she's a
beautiful
furry and
story.
maybe she's a furry and she's into that anyway. And being that she can't see, who knows that she would have discovered that. But regardless,
even though she has a super anti-mutant bigoted father.
yeah. But I love that she's always listening to music too. Every time we walk in on her, she has
Yeah.
headphones on, and it's always like some kind of weird pop song that I don't know.
I
is
really
probably
enjoyed
weird.
that subtle detail as well because you're blind, you're gonna entertain yourself somehow. Right?
Yeah, I guess we could listen to books on tape. That's probably what I do the most.
Yeah, it could
Or
be.
music. Although it'd be tough to like. I guess in the old days you just put a cassette in a thing. But think about like if you were blind and you were trying to use Apple Music. I guess
Nowadays you can listen
use
to
the
our
voice.
podcast.
That's true. You absolutely could. That's all the friendship you need.
Mm-hmm. Let me catch up on a couple images here that I forgot about. So we got Beast there getting his hug from Carly. That's Carly.
Very cute.
And here's Logan. John
Logan with the red sunglasses. Like he stole the sunglasses from Cyclops. I like that Cyclops might be wandering around the house looking for his sunglasses.
Do you think he just stole Cyclops'
Yeah, I didn't think about that until just now.
Yeah, really. That's hilarious.
I love Beast's disguise. His disguise is the exact same as Raphael's disguise in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which it doesn't
Probably
disguise very much. Yeah, maybe they go to the same tailor.
And of course, there's the swamp.
Yes, the swamp, as we see. Back to the swamp, as we
Back to the swamp.
Back to the swamp. So so there's a nice moment. Then her father shows up. He's upset that Beast is there. Beast says the important thing is that Carly can see, and then it all went according to plan. So he says let's leave it at that, and then leaves.
Mm-hmm.
They hear a commotion, come back in. Man, those Friends of Humanity guys work fast because they're out of the room for like less than 5 seconds, and then they hear a noise in the room. They go in. Everybody's messed up, like beat up. The dad, the nurses are all beat up, and they spray painted on the wall. It was a Friends of Humanity or something like that. And the windows open. So they went in, they beat everybody up, they spray painted on the wall, they kidnapped Carly, ran off, and they did it in a span of literally less than a minute.
Intolerant, ignorant, mutant-hating fools like you who took your daughter. If anything happens to her, I'll...
Yeah, he's not very gentle with old Mr. Crocker there.
Then he catches himself there and he just goes, "I'm going to find her."
Yeah. I do like that. I do like that because I do think we all wear masks. Everybody does, and it's very important to people. I think all people in some manner or another. Maybe a select few, not so much, how they are perceived by the world at large. So I'm
talking about a metaphor, Mr. Ipkiss.
Very
Deep cut.
nice. That is a deep cut. Is that from the cartoon?
No.
Okay, because I used to watch that Mask cartoon quite a bit, which is probably made in Canada as well. A metaphor, Mr. Ipkiss. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was Ben Stein, wasn't it?
It was
the Loki
Ben
mask.
Stein.
Yeah, I should watch that again. It's been a long time. So,
Or if you really want to like torture yourself, watch Masks, the Star Trek Next Generation episode.
I could watch Son of Mask, the straight to DVD sequel starring Jamie Kennedy. Yeah, me neither. I believe Alan Cummings is in it as well. I think he plays Loki in it, which is funny.
They do a third one, I'm pretty sure, where the dog becomes like the star.
Did they? That seems crazy.
I think so. They did a bunch of Mask movies.
It seems crazy. I don't buy it. So yeah, they managed to do all that. One thing that happened earlier, which I thought was funny, was at one point, I think when Crocker wants Beast out of there, there's like a guy that's like a bouncer for the hospital that's like behind Alan, who's like, "You want me to get rid of him?" That was funny.
Want me to get rid of him?
There's just like a dough-brained bouncer character that just works at the hospital. I know there's security.
Alan's like, no, he's an important doctor here. Who are you?
Yeah, you're just a glorified fucking nightclub bouncer here at the hospital. Like, want me to get rid of him? So anyway, we cut to the Friends of Humanity headquarters where disguised Wolverine is being interviewed by Graydon Creed Jr.
John Logan.
Nobody apparently notices that he is no longer hurt and that he is healed from his injuries from just a few minutes ago.
He's super tough. Friends of Humanity.
That's true. So he mentions that the mutant beat him up in the alley, and then Creed says something along the lines of they're animals, and then Wolverine says, "Yeah, I told him that," and gave him a few hits, and indicating that he's the one that instigated the fight.
I excused him right in his face.
Excused him right in his face,
which is a pretty great line.
He's like, "I like your style."
Yeah, well, he has a great line. Do you have the dialogue from this?
Oh, yeah, that one about getting right in his face, and then I have this.
Extermination? Like the rats they are? Well, you'll never hear me say that in public.
That's a great line. I love that line.
This is, of all the Nazi vibes we get from the Friends of Humanity.
Yes, social
really
engineers.
Double down to it in this one.
You mean social engineers?
Self-appointed social engineers.
Yes. I mean, but the line just prior to that, Graydon Creed says, "We are the Friends of Humanity. We believe that mutants have their place. It's just not here with us.
Not with us.
If you know what I mean." And then Wolverine says, "Extermination like the rats there," and it goes on from there, which I thought was a nice little way to segue into their sort of fascism, which we learn a little bit more as we come along here.
Racism.
Why Graydon Creed is so angry about mutants, or partially why he may be so angry against mutants. So, Wolverine states that he once met a mutant.
That couldn't have been my family. We were all in Canada then. So was I, bub. So was I.
So for a bit of context, because you cut me off again. Geez.
Sorry.
Wolverine began to state that he was once met a man called Creed that this guy reminded him of. And
looks like him.
This guy, it looks like him. That's right. And,
but you know what the thing is? Well, it's probably ruining another one of my X points later. But Wolverine would definitely know that probably just based on the smell. Like,
this isn't the first time and this also isn't the first time he's seen Creed. They've interacted a couple times so far in this season.
No, but even as far as figuring out the
I don't know. Do parents smell the same as their kids that haven't been around them that long?
Well, apparently so.
So he said he once met a mutant named Creed. Graydon said it couldn't be any of his. He says it was Wolverine covers and says it was in Kansas or something, or somewhere Illinois or something. And then the guy says that's possible. We were in Canada. So then Wolverine whispers off to the side. So was I, bub? Because it was
slick though how he.
It was a test. It was a little test to see if he would give up more information than he needed to, which he did. Wolverine got confirmation. So Graydon leaves to go interrogate Carly, who is now captured by the Friends of Humanity. Wolverine contacts the X-Men, telling them his location and to bring this hologram thing with them that connects to some tapes from Cerebro.
Where are you, Wolverine?
I'm babysitting a bunch of mutant-hating gutter trash.
Good line. Do you have the line Jubilee says about Wolverine too?
Weird. Wolverine using his head and Beast going berserk? What's the world coming to?
Yeah, exactly.
That one.
Yeah.
This is a good Wolverine one here too.
What's the matter, Creed? Daddy's boy doesn't like claws?
Well, yes, it is a very good one, but we haven't got to that part yet.
Well, it's before the Jubilee line that you just
Is
called
it?
for. Yes.
I don't think so. No, it isn't.
I put these down in chronological.
No,
order.
it is.
I know
It is
for a
certainly
fact.
not because no, it is certainly not because he
It
calls them from.
certainly is. We
No,
disagree.
it's not. I will watch the episode and show you that it's not because that comes from when he calls them and says they need the tape.
We beg to differ.
He only says that to Creed after the reveal because after the hologram is out there, he says it when he's standing in front of him. So he does. Yeah. So it's all right. It's fine. So
how did I get down there like
it's
that?
all right.
That's
No
weird.
worries. Seriously, it's fine. So then Beast attacks.
Are we talking about the hologram now?
Not quite. Beast attacks the Friends of Humanity headquarters. Wolverine tackles Graydon to the ground because Graydon is getting rather rough with Carly, which is such. The show takes place in the 90s. You've got to put a plucky young girl in it, and they name her Carly, which is such a 90s name. Did you know any girls named Carly prior to the 90s?
I didn't know any in the 90s. The only Carly I knew was this one in this episode and the one Spider-Man dates in the 2000s.
I mean, there were older Carlys. Like Carly Simon was around forever.
Oh, yeah, there's Carly Simon.
But, it's just, I don't know. It's not. It seemed like there's an influx of Carlys that came out around the 90s. So, Beast Wolverine find Carly. Beast falls unconscious. He's all beat up from fucking up all the Friends of Humanity members, which he basically takes on all by himself, the entire room, and defeats them. Cyclops,
he gets beat up though. He's unconscious when they find him.
Well, like Wolverine's helping Carly out, and then the door opens and Beast is standing there all beat up, and then he falls down because he's all beat up from beating up everybody. So they help him up, and Wolverine has a nice line. Do you see that about how heavy Beast is?
I didn't pull it, but yeah,
he says,
"I gotta cut down on the snacks, bud."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I gotta cut down to the snacks, bud."
Yeah,
bub. So they go on their way out. However, just as they're surrounded by Graydon and the Friends of Humanity, and it seems like things are at their most dire, a signature Cyclops blast comes right through the wall, and then the hologram that Wolverine had requested Jubilee plays, which is Sabretooth, just Sabretooth by himself, which eventually
Sabretooth, last seen in the Baffin Island region of Canada.
No! Get it away!
At least now we.
Edmonton, Alberta. Real name?
No!
Graydon Creed, Senior.
Yeah, so they already know he's. Well, there's some interesting stuff here. Number one, we now know where Wolverine was in that episode where he fights Sabretooth, who's in the Baffin Island region of Canada. Number two, if you are terribly ashamed of who your father is, why would you keep the name that's the same name as his? And it's even Junior. Like, he's known as Graydon Creed Jr. So anyone who knows, so like you didn't even use an alias. Like, you just use it as name.
So that's a change, though. He's not Victor Creed.
No, that is true. I mean, obviously, for the sake of this episode, I'm guessing, and this reveal, they decided to make his name Graydon Creed. I like the name Graydon, actually. It's not one you hear very often, so it's kind of a cool name. So yes, Graydon Creed. In which do you have any of his, like him losing his mind?
Oh yeah, it was just too
play
good.
That. It was really
why
good.
I wanted to talk about John Stalker. Like, this is some crazy good voice acting.
Yeah.
What are you looking at? I hate him! I'm not like him! I'm normal!
I got one more.
You are not my father! You are not my father!
I got the shivers, man. That was crazy good.
I did just when you played that again. And he's shooting at the hologram, like he's just overcome with rage and emotion at seeing his father. And there's a line where Wolverine says that line you mentioned, where he says, "Do I look familiar?" or something like that, or don't like don't like the look of claws, because obviously the two of them are similar.
Well, he says both. He's like, "What, you don't like claws?" And he's just like, "What, don't I look familiar to you?" Because him and Sabretooth kind of have a similar look.
That is true.
Or maybe he's trying to hint towards other things. I don't know.
But I mean, we obviously don't know the nature of their relationship, why he hates his father or anything like that. I'm assuming he wasn't around very much, but he is named Graydon Creed Jr., meaning that he was around enough for him to give him his name, I guess.
And to like really have emotional problems with it,
and the fact
with his relationship with him.
Well, and the fact that this information was always known to the X-Men, like it's a reveal, it seems to everybody, including the X-Men in this scene, that he is the son of Sabretooth. But did Professor X not let them in before when this very public figure, Graydon Creed Jr., who's the head of the Friends of Humanity, was on the news and at the hearings at the Capitol in Washington? That hey, that we do have a file that I recorded in which I indicate that this guy named Sabretooth's real name is Graydon Creed Sr., so we know he has a son at least. Like it seems like this information may have been useful earlier. But it is once again, I just whitewash it with this is a cartoon designed for children, and we are just 30-year-old men.
That's so good.
Men, children. You still eat more brownies?
Yeah.
Nice. We're just 30-year-old man children, debating this stuff. But it was a nice moment. It was cool. I did like the level of rage and emotion that came out of Creed when he was positive with the image of his father. So, and of course, the Friends of Humanity realizing that Sabretooth is this guy's father, they back out and leave him all by himself as he's just sort of saying, "I'm not like him. I'm normal. I'm normal."
Wolverine has a slick line there. He's just like, "One less friend."
Yeah, exactly. Which was a very nice line. Wolverine's got a few zingers in this episode.
He does.
So later we see Beast and Carly. Beast was working with Carly's father earlier to try to find her. So they were showing some, the father seemed to have recognized how much Beast cares for his daughter, which seems to have softened him a bit to mutants.
I mean, there are humans out there that suck way more than mutants.
Oh, for sure. So then later Beast some. We do have some out there that are trying to, do eugenics and destroy half the planet. But
Apocalypse isn't a great guy, but
no, neither Sinister, neither's Magneto, neither's Mystique or any of her little friends there. There's a lot
Sinister is just a man of science.
With that evil laugh he had, I don't know if he's really just all about the science. My volcano has erupted lava.
That's how he always reacts to even simple science. He's just like 2 + 2 = 4.
That's math. That's not even science.
It's true. That's math, not even science. I should have came up with a way better example. I basically just made Mr. Sinister into the Count from Sesame Street.
Man, I had a trivia question relating to science the last show, which I was going to ask you, and I can't remember now.
Hit me.
I don't have it right in front of me, and it's going to take me too long to look it up. So we'll continue, and I'll see if I can find it while we're discussing it, because I don't want to just have a big blah while I'm trying to track down.
I got your last one.
You did catch my last one. Let's see if it's in here. Is it general knowledge? No. Last one.
Well, Andre's doing that. Here's how the episode ends.
How can I ever thank you, Dr. McCoy? This is a beginning.
Which is a nice moment in which, he says that, the fact that he's shaking his hand and accepting him as a beginning, that's enough for him.
But the payoff is so big there, because earlier in the episodes, he's just like, oh, you just can't change people like that.
Yeah. And just before this episode, or just before that moment, Beast tells Carly that although he cares deeply for her, and that if she cares for him, she can wait until a time when they can be together. Which is a nice moment. And his father asks if she's okay, and she says she will be, which is a nice moment too.
And that wonderful, beautiful time when there's no more racial prejudice.
Yeah, good thing we got that cured between 1993
Hopefully they're not
and
too old.
Yeah, good thing we solved that little chestnut here on planet Earth since the 1990s, right? Right, Davin? Right?
Oh, well, I think in the 90s they assumed we would have had that.
Racial discrimination isn't that big an issue anymore, right? We don't get people going into churches and shooting up people anymore. That's not happening, right? Right? Please.
That sounds made up.
Please tell me it's right. No, it just happened like a day ago.
I know. I know.
Anyway, the trivia question was, what element comes between uranium and plutonium on the periodic table?
Uranium and plutonium.
I know there's science geeks out there listening that are losing their mind that you don't know the answer to this, because I don't know if I would have. Some people did at trivia, but I was quite surprised. There is a team that comes to play that has a.
I'm gonna say americium.
No, it's actually neptunium.
Oh, neptunium.
It's not one we discussed.
That makes sense
because of the planets.
Crap.
Exactly.
Yeah, crap. I
didn't even know there was an element called neptunium until I came up with that question. Or rather,
did you know there was americium?
I do now.
So hopefully that impressed somebody at least.
And that comes to the end of our episode. Another great episode.
but how great.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
To your heart, Andre. Look into your heart.
Well, I know what you're gonna pick.
And decide.
And,
Do you?
Well, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna go ahead of you. I'm jumping ahead of you because I'm gonna say it's a 10 as well. Ooh, I like it
as well.
Okay, what are you gonna say?
10.
Of course,
it was fantastic. Episode.
We both love Beast very much. That information is not secret, and we get a whole lot of Beast in this episode at the cost of Gambit, Rogue, and Storm. But we do get a lot of Beast, which is lovely. And yeah, I loved it. I thought it was some real emotional stuff. I mean, Beast always seems like a really put together guy, so it's nice to see the mask slip a little bit and for him to get angry. And
yes,
and it's nice to see him have a somewhat of an emotional connection with someone else that's unrelated to just being a friend, like a romantic endeavor, which is nice.
And what a great story! Like it just flowed really nice, and there's a lot of setup early that pays off later in a lot of the different storylines. And that Beast is so good, and John Logan.
Yes, John Logan. Yeah, I guess I
didn't
mention
the great acting from John Stalker.
Yes, I didn't mention that Wolverine's undercover name was John Logan, which is fun. So yeah, good episode. 10. 10's across the board.
10. It gave you the feels.
He did lots of feels.
Yeah.
Good voice acting and some good emotional stuff, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's nice when they inject a little more emotion and a little less cartoon zaniness, which is always fun too. But it's nice to pepper, real stuff in between. It always makes these things have a little more weight, which is nice for us adults.
Yeah, these characters, including Beast and Wolverine, and even Jean and everybody, everyone just feels like very real characters.
Yeah,
very real people.
They feel lived in enough. Obviously, you can only do so much with a 22-minute show, but I feel like now that we're getting, it's kind of like the Marvel movies. Now we have enough of them under our belt, that we have enough stuff in the toolbox now that we can go draw from to do all this stuff that we didn't have before. So now that we're almost at the end of season 2, there's a lot of stuff that's, a lot of things in the toolbox that have been established already. Like every episode puts another tool in there that we can use later. And it seems like now that the box is getting pretty full, we have a lot of things to pull out, to use for good storytelling. So
pull it to Tad.
We're talking about Tad in the ship.
Uncanny X points.
Ooh.
I'll go first. Why not?
Okay.
So you stole like half of my points, but anyway. Let's start
I'm sorry. One was totally by accident. I don't know the other one.
So this Beast's origin is sort of like the Beast origin story. We've kind of been racking up the backstory episodes for the characters, and this one sort of has the Beast stuff with his, family album and things like that. But it also shows the difference between Beast in this show and Beast in the comics.
You stole one of my points too.
Well, good.
There we go.
Because he experimented on himself and made himself blue in the comics.
But wasn't there a guy that he experimented with? Tower, some kind of a scientist. His last name was Tower. Or was it Power? There was something in the comics that I remember reading a book. It was like a book for kids adaptation of a story from the comics, which indicated Beast was like working with some supervillain that turned out to be supervillain or some scientist and ended up turning himself blue. Anyway, that's just the memories of young Andre, so it might not be true.
Okay. Well, you're up.
Ah, damn, he stole mine. That was my first one too.
Well, you stole 2 of mine earlier.
I only stole 1. You revealed your own when you're talking about something else.
All right,
don't throw me under the bus here.
Right. I've done that enough. You've been run over several times. All right,
question 1. When Wolverine infiltrates the Friend of Humanity headquarters, he's seen wearing a hat that's very similar to the Major League Baseball team, the Oakland Athletics, just with different colors. So I'm wondering if perhaps one of the Oakland Athletic, there's an Oakland A's fan in the
they didn't want to get sued.
or in the animation studio over there as well. So that's my point. I thought that was funny. Yeah. Wolverine's an Oakland A's fan. Maybe in this parallel universe, the Oakland A's had those colors.
He would have cheered for the Expos.
Earth 1, 2, 4.
Yeah. All right.
It's a Canadian team. Come on, Wolverine. Jesus.
Exactly. Well, how about in the Savage Land, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. Like it's just one unbelievable disaster after another. Like even when we like pick them up, they're just like in a swamp, and then they get caught up in a net from the swamp, and then like a monster jumps out of that same swamp, and it's just like one thing after another, and it's probably been a rough few weeks for Magneto and Professor X.
I would say, especially just
even
having to
beyond
hang out
what we've seen.
Especially just having to hang out with a guy that you don't get along with for weeks.
They're besties.
It's like being on a camping trip with your mortal enemy for 2 weeks, running for your life. That doesn't sound fun at all. All right. Well, we do see the debut of a couple new characters in this episode, particularly Amphibious and Alan, who I don't know if Alan ever returns, but we do
and Carly.
A couple of new characters. And Carly, I don't know if she returns either. Does she return?
I don't know. I doubt they picked that relationship up. They swept it under the rug real quick.
I'd like to see it return at some point, but yeah, it doesn't at this point. So yeah, just some debuts, some new characters. Amphibious is a fun addition to the show.
Maybe in the new series.
Maybe so. Maybe that's the wedding.
Maybe we have 3 weddings this season.
And a funeral.
Oh, probably.
All right.
Did you say funeral?
No. Yes, I did. Why is there a line?
This one's for you, Marv.
We already know he's not dead. He hasn't been back in quite a while, actually.
Yeah, I know. You've been so sour on that sound effect since he came back.
I know.
Like no one cares. No one cares about Morph anymore. No one wants our T-shirt.
I forgot that he was coming back to life when I got all sad about him. I thought it was good. It kind of robs it a bit, of its emotional weight. When
they didn't want to do it.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, the writers agreed with you, and the showrunners.
They're smart guys and girls.
They were
smart people. All right, that's my second point.
All right, well, back to me. How about
You're just pulling these out of your ass, huh?
No, I got a bunch here. I'm just trying to pick one. How about this one?
And you're getting mad at me for just taking one of yours? You have a cavalcade of them over there.
I do.
All right.
The Friends of Humanity, they're just like super relentless, and every time we see them, they just pick it up a notch, and that's rare, I find. I find oftentimes like they introduce the villain and like you get the first big appearance of the villain is kind of the best one sometimes.
Yeah, but like even do you find that like villains don't know they're villains? I mean, obviously, you can have this debate forever about the line, the moral line, and what matters, and that's the
some at least know that they would be perceived as a villain. Like maybe Apocalypse is self-aware enough to know that people aren't going to like what he's about.
But do you think the Nazis would bust into a home for the blind and fuck up a bunch of old people and steal a blind woman? Like, I don't know if they would. Maybe. I mean, I'm not trying to defend the Nazis, but do you think like the KKK? I don't know. I feel like there must be some line where it's like if you let's say the KKK.
The line is blind people.
I get, but even if you think like, well, I don't like mutants are evil, it's like you're still fucking up a bunch of innocent people, and you have to be okay with that to go do that, which they seem to be no problem. Just kidnap well, she's not blind anymore, but a formerly blind lady and fuck up her dad and a bunch of orderlies at the hospital for the blind, which I always find.
Well, they practice by kidnapping children first.
Okay, have you ever heard of a hospital specifically for the blind? This is a trope that comes up in
school for the blind.
Yeah, that makes sense. But this is
what I bet there are hospitals for the blind, or at least like treatment centers, that type of thing.
Yeah, maybe. This is a trope that comes up a lot, in fiction, like Home for the Orphans or Home for the Blind, or just something.
They're called orphanages. They exist, Andre.
Yeah, I know those do, but like, there's always something that when they have
for orphans.
That's made. There's no orphans.
That's so not real.
But like when they need a place for the bad guy to mess up or to really show how bad he is, it's always like the Home for the Blind or the orphanage or something. So it's just just to show how far gone they are. It's morally bankrupt.
Or like dogs, things that elicit emotions from people. Like if some movie or something hurts a cat, like
That's true.
done.
Or any animal gets hurt, I'm pretty much upset. I don't watch ones that have like I like old horror movies, and there's a few that actually have animals getting hurt in them. I don't want like really getting hurt. I don't watch those ones.
Nah, that's not cool.
Yeah. My next point. So they did change his name to Graydon Creed instead of Victor Creed. And it was changed only so they wouldn't have to just to make it much clearer and remove any ambiguity that Creed is the father of Graydon Creed Jr.
Yeah, they wanted his lackeys to be able to go Graydon Creed Sr.
Yeah, exactly. It's way easier than him going, "Oh no, it's my dad's name, twice removed. He's Victor Creed, but I'm a Creed." But and obviously he was a junior, so his dad had to be a senior. I assume that was just part of like maybe he was adopted by Creed's brother or something. I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with that when they first introduced him, but
no, we knew.
Now we know.
Scary Beast. Scary Beast he doesn't come out often, but when he does, it's very intimidating. Like I remember this one comic where like Beast flips out and just like ragdolls Wolverine, and like no one can stop him. If Beast flips out, he's very formidable.
Reminiscent,
he's just not that guy.
Kind of reminiscent of Dark Beast from the Age of Apocalypse timeline.
Yeah, but who knows if Dark Beast is like he's just kind of a weird Mr. Sinister type freaky scientist. Who knows if he goes all like crazy, animalistic.
It's in there. It's in there.
It's in there.
The mask always slips, Devin. The mask will slip.
I'm talking about a metaphor, Mr. McCoy. All right, back to you.
No, that was me. I just did that one.
I just did Scary Beast.
Oh, sorry. Then we're back to me again. So is this 4?
Oh, yeah.
Right. What do I have? John Logan. So he uses the name John Logan as an alias, and I'm curious, does he normally go by John Logan at this point in the comics, or did he just add John to it for the sake of the
Logan? John Logan.
I've never heard him go by John Logan.
But like you think at some point in his career of being, Logan or thinking himself as Logan due to, I mean, we know if we've read Wolverine Origins or you read current X-Men comics, he knows who he is now, and his real name is James Howlett. He feels like a Jim to me. That works. But
Jimmy.
Old Jimmy Howlett. Jimmy Howlett.
Especially in that hat and sunglasses.
I like how you have to throw I like how comics have to throw in something that makes it like connected to his gimmick. Like he's got to have Howl in his name because he's like a Wolverine, It's like John Clawford or something, like just something. Victor Freeze becomes a Freeze villain, like Edward Nygma becomes the Riddler. Like it's just all, I know they've retconned that.
Mark Spector.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, that one doesn't kind of, if it was like Mark Crescent, that would make, you know what I mean? Like something moon-like. So. But, I just find it funny. So I'm curious as if, because, he must have to like take out a bank account or write a check or do something that revolves, or have a driver's license that revolves the first and last name. So I'm curious if John Logan is the name he goes by and Logan's just what everybody calls him.
Maybe you can just go by Logan. You don't have to have a last name.
I think you do.
No. Prince changed his name to Prince.
Do you think it said Prince on his driver's license?
Yeah, I think so, because because it was all in the news of how he legally changed it to an artist formerly known as Prince, remember?
Yes, I do recall that, but I'm curious as to what the actual legal the legal end result of all that was.
What about Cher?
She has a real name. That's probably under, like, Madonna's last name is Sassone. I'm sure it says Madonna Sassone on her official passport. Just because, yeah. There's some extra trivia for you. Madonna's last name is Sassone. I believe it was Cher Bono at one point. I don't know what it is now, but.
Oh, yeah. I suppose it would have been. Yeah, well. Or was he just Sonny Cher? Or no, he took her last name, which doesn't exist. So that's why they were just Sonny and Cher.
He became United States Senator, so I'm sure he needed a last name to be able to complete that process.
No, he didn't. He became the mayor of Palm Springs. That's not even close to becoming the senator.
How do you know so much about Sonny?
Because I am a trivia machine. That's why I'm like disappointed I
didn't know Neptunium.
I know, and I'm disappointed in myself because trivia I can do. I would win Jeopardy.
Go on to that.
Wish I could. They'd be
No,
like,
he's
"Sir,
a
you're gonna
member.
have to shave your beard." And I'd be like, "No, I'm not doing that for
He
you."
was a member of Congress.
What?
Yeah, according to his Wikipedia, he was. He's the only member of Congress to have scored a #1 pop single on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 chart.
Well, the Congress isn't the Senate, so you were
That's
still
true.
wrong.
That's true. Sorry. Jesus Christ.
But he was the mayor of Palm Springs at one point.
Mm-hmm. All right, you got another point, and then I got one.
Yeah. Well, there's something Lenore Zan posted on the socials today, which I thought was interesting, which was an interview with one of the writers of one of the other things Bo DeMaio wrote, who's writing this series, Bo DeMaio, for a lot of it, and this other writer was telling him, or saying that Bo DeMaio was telling him a lot of the plot points he was using in the show. And apparently they were just blowing this guy's mind. And he's like super hyped for the show. And it's just like, people don't even realize how good it's going to be, I believe was his direct
I
quote.
read that as well because you, she shared that article.
Yeah, I shared that on our page.
That's funny. I was going to send it to you, and then I noticed that you already got to it.
Well, I was excited. That was very exciting. Because I want it to be as great as I think it will be.
You're excited about the X-Men. Interesting. I never would have known. Never would have put it together.
Well, I keep that close to the vest.
That's true. Yes, you hide in plain sight by hosting an X-Men specific podcast. Exactly. My final point is a nice line Beast has at the end when him and Carly are parting. She says, he says, "Now that you see what my life is like, you understand why I have to tell you." And she sees it coming, says, "Hank, please don't." He says, "We have to face it. I'm mutant in a world that fears and despises my kind. I thought for a moment we could live in that world together, but now I know that we cannot. Someday, with work and hope, the world will change. Until then, if you care for me as much as I care for you, you'll understand why we must part," which is very touching and sad. So, nice words to end this segment on.
Well, let's move to a new segment then.
Hey, check this out.
Hey, check this out. It's our comic reminiscences and recommendations. Why don't you go first, Andre?
Well, you can put up the graphic I gave you to put up there.
I shall do just that.
So I remember reading this when I was a kid, and I remember it being insane. So whether it's good or not, I don't know, but it has the same title as this episode, so that's why I'm suggesting it. It's written by Jim Shooter, who is a problematic figure in comics. The basic synopsis is this: after her musical career comes to a screeching halt due to her being outed as a mutant, Dazzler ends up associating with an experimental underground theater group, which serves as the front for a gladiatorial arena where mutants battle to the death. Fortunately, the Beast shows up, and is he in time to save her, or will Beauty battle Beast in a fight to the finish? This collects the Marvel graphic novel The Set, 12 Dazzler the movie, and Beauty and the Beast 1-4, as well as Marvel Heartbreakers. And if you look online, there's a lot of people that talk about how ridiculous this is. Apparently, it's not very kind to her as a character, but this is just online chitter chatter. So I have vague memories of it when I was a kid, and I forgot to put something else aside for this. So, and I didn't get a chance to read. I did pick up Dave's comic. I didn't have a chance to read it yet. So I didn't want to suggest it since you suggested it last week. I'm sure it's around.
I got it here somewhere, yeah.
All right. I gotta.
Anyway.
But yeah, so it's one of those prestige hardcover formats that Marvel puts out for this story. So obviously they think it's good enough to do that. So yeah, check it out. It's on Amazon.
Who may be joining us next week? I'm still waiting for the confirmation on that.
Have you reached out to him?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to ask me to do that. I'm glad you did that already.
Nah, I know how you roll, man.
Thank you for bypassing me in this process.
Same way my other podcast rolls. It's just better if I do it myself.
Oh, that's hurtful. That is hurtful. I contribute.
I'm not particularly patient when it comes to things. It's just better if I do things.
Well, I can comment on that, but you're not annoying. So I'll give you that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Actually.
I'd tell you if you were. I wouldn't.
You.
I'm too polite. I wouldn't do that.
No, you're not. All right, I'm gonna do some Beast stuff here.
I figured.
So read some X Factor. Okay, but X Factor is good. The whole thing really is a lot of Beast stuff, but X Factor 33 is when he goes back to being blue, because he was blue for a while, and then he wasn't blue anymore. For like the first 32 issues of X Factor, he's just the regular dude with big hands and feet again. But then he gets experimenting again, and he turns blue. And another reason about this X Factor run too is he has a romance in this as well with Trish Tilby.
Stratus? Oh.
No, Trish Tilby, who's a reporter, and they have a bit of a dalliance, and then in you just go here and there's 34 and 35. Read the whole thing, why not? Because it's going to run into the beginning of Inferno, which we've talked about before.
We have,
but this is where the X-Men are fighting, a bunch of Inferno monsters, and then Trish Tilby and her reporting team show up to report on the big fight, and she sees Beast with fur and Beast form for the first time, and they have a little talk about that afterwards, and it sort of gets interrupted, but it doesn't go well. She's just like, I don't like what I'm seeing here. But she even says it's not just the fur, but when Beast, he actually acts a little bit differently, and we see that in the progression of his character even to this day, where the more kind of animalistic his appearance gets, the more he sort of acts that way as well.
What do you think sex with a furry person would be like?
Probably sure pretty weird. A lot of people that can answer that question better than me.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm usually the furry one in that engagement.
Yeah, I guess myself as well. But someone like with the Beast level of fur, like Tigra or Feral or some of those other characters that are the female versions of Ninjak from Ninja Turtles.
Probably very comfortable.
Maybe like a cushion,
cozy.
Anyway, listeners,
this is the X-rated podcast.
Oh, come! I am sick and tired of defending that name. It's a good name.
Yeah, I like it. I got a text from a listener the other day, or a message from a listener that
said it was bold.
Said X-rated bold. Yeah.
Come on, it's pretty apparent what it is if you took any kind of a look at it. It's in the same font as the X-Men, for God's sakes. I mean, no, it's not. Disney, don't sue us.
And I also, you want to read another Beast story. We have Beast losing his cool, and losing his mind, his marbles a little bit in this episode for a moment. But you want to see him lose his mind entirely and start doing bad ideas. All new X-Men.
Oh, does he go bad in that?
He brings them to the future. He's like, I'm just going to go back. His whole plan is I'm going to go back in time and bring the young version of Cyclops in the original X-Men
and show the new version of Cyclops why he's
so they can see how they've changed for the worse.
Yeah, well,
it's such a bad plan, but it's a good comic.
Yeah, it's a fun idea. It took them quite a while before they put them back in the right place in the timeline. So.
Yeah, a long time. The Cyclops joined the Champions for a while.
Yep, and they had they brought
Angel got space wings.
Yes, they brought Iceman out of the closet.
Yep,
and used it as a way to make current timeline Iceman also gay.
Yep. They used there's a lot happens in that comic, but it's also got amazing art from Stuart Eamon.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah. You ever wonder where Marvel gets its host style? Everyone just copies Stuart Eamon in Marvel Comics these days, for the most part. That's the host style. And him and his wife are really cool, actually. I met them. And what I'm going to do one more recommendation.
Oh, my God.
Well, you can just hold on your horses if I can find it.
We're almost getting to
the people.
This episode is almost going to be a respectable length, not 2 hours or close to 2 hours, and you're just stretching her out.
All right, well,
stretching her right. No, it's kidding. Go ahead, man. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Well, I can't find it anyway. Can you?
What issue? You can tell us about it. What issue is it?
Well, it's not an issue. It's a book that the Eamon together. They're a husband and wife team.
Yeah, I met them at the East Coast Comic Expo. Very nice couple, very talented. Their stuff is amazing. Stewart's art is phenomenal, and Catherine's writing is great. I loved her Patsy Walker Hellcat stories.
I did too.
Yeah, it was very good.
Oh, man. Anyway, it's called Russian Olive to Red King, and it's very interesting. And I can't find it, and I'm gonna have to find that because it's a perplexing mystery. While I was talking to them, Catherine was just like writing these words in the book that I bought from them, the Russian Olive Red King. It's just like these random words. It must be like some cipher or something I'm supposed to figure out, but I can't make any sense of it. And if I ever meet her again, I'm gonna ask her. I'm be like,
It's
"What did my
it's just the date of your death. if you figure it out.
Yeah, seriously, she's just like, you don't want to know. Trust me. I don't think I can find that because it's so weird. Ah, darn it! It's here somewhere. Unless I loaned it to somebody.
It's quite all right. Let's let's not play Where's Davin's book.
All right. Anyway, those are my recommendations. I
Yeah,
might break that out another time if I.
For sure, yeah, sounds good.
But, okay, well, yeah, no, we're getting along here on pretty good time. So,
Why did this have to happen to me? Why can't I be normal?
what's wrong with Andre? He can't be normal.
No, it's a bit of a yin and a yang. The old foot's acting up, so I'm in a bit of pain right now, and it sucks. But are you still looking for the book, Davin?
Yes.
Jesus Christ. But the good news is, I saw Doctor Strange finally.
Oh, wow. What'd you think?
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'd like to discuss matters about it. But I will save.
How long before we can do that, you think?
I mean, we can just tell them to stop listening here if they don't want to hear any more of it. But there is a point related to it that I'm going to bring up. There's something related to X-Men 97 that I'm going to bring up in that segment, in relating to that movie, not just the obvious one. That's something I don't think a lot of people may have noticed, and you may have, but I'm not sure if you did. But I loved it. I thought it was great. It's fantastic. And you know what? We're going to talk about it a little bit. So spoilers.
All right, spoilers alerts.
Skip ahead or shut it off here if you don't listen.
Here's our spoiler alert.
It's fantastic.
That's our spoiler alert screen.
It's so intense. Yeah. So yeah, it's very good, man. It's I love Sam Raimi. I've loved all his movies. The only
it was very Sam Raimi. It was more Sam Raimi than I thought it was going to be.
The only ones I haven't seen, I think, were Crime Wave, which is like one of his early ones, and The Gift, which is the one with Kate Blanchett from the 90s, where she's like a Southern psychic. And I do really want to watch that one too, but I haven't got to it yet. It's hard to find. So yeah, I loved it. Anybody that's complaining online, I'll happily debate you about it because you're stupid and it's great.
Is there people complaining about this movie?
Quite a few people doing it, saying that it was like the pacing wasn't great, which is dumb. I mean, everyone thinks they're a goddamn film critic using terms like the pacing isn't right. The pacing was great.
That's just what people say when
they can't figure out exactly why they don't like it.
They thought they were gonna. It was like it must have been the pacing.
It didn't meet their expectations. They didn't see Tom Cruise as Iron Man or whatever they wanted to see.
I didn't want to see that anyway.
You know what? I would have been okay with it if they threw him in, but why not? I mean, did you recognize? So, I mean, the story is great.
Did I recognize Anson Mount?
Yes, I figured you may have, being that's connected to Star Trek, of course. But,
yeah,
but it was nice.
And I actually was stupid enough to watch a couple episodes of that Inhuman show.
Oh yeah, I watched a few of them too. He of course played Blackie Garboltagon on the Inhumans TV show, and they had him back playing him in the Illuminati on Earth 818 or whatever they call it. From that universe.
Another good show, Hell on Wheels.
Yes. Oh yeah, the one with Cole Meany in it.
Yeah.
So of course you would like that show. So
good show.
Is he the main guy in that show?
Anson Mount was.
Yeah, shit. That's been forever. I only watched like 1 or 2 episodes of that show. But
good show.
Anyway, I thought it was great. I mean, the whole not making this big long thing into figuring out who the villain really is was interesting. They give it to you right away. The whole thing just feels like one long chase, which is really fun. It's different than anything I've seen before. We saw cameos of the Living Tribunal, which is super cool, and other things connected to Spider-Man, even seemingly going into a cartoon universe. Let it go, man. It's gone. Okay, I thought you were going for the book.
I was going for the Living Tribunal.
He's basically God. What kind of hero clique would he be? How could you even defeat him?
Oh, he's awesome.
All right, so
you're gonna pay a lot of points for him.
I would assume so. So anyway, he all that stuff was great. The separations of the universe was great. I think the through line was really lovely about how he, it even ties into his role in Avengers Infinity War and all that stuff. With him, they say you have to be the one holding the knife fairly often, which means he has to be the one in control. And and has to make the hard decisions because he thinks he has to, and there's nobody else who can. And we see how far that can go and how much that can cost him through various versions of himself from other timelines. Beautiful stuff, giving him an awakening of sorts to realize that, he might not always know everything and that he has to, look for alternatives, which is nice. And of course, he finds an alternative at the end to defeating the enemy. The fact that the whole end fight is him in a zombie body, like, it's so
that was crazy.
When I saw that trailer, I assumed that was some evil version of him from another universe when I saw him in the trailer. But the fact that he's the hero and he's all curved up, like teeth hanging out, and it's just so unique and different. I mean, the reference,
the Scarlet Witch comes out of that. We're spoiling.
Oh, out of the mirror, yeah. No, that was super cool. Yeah, very, very creepy. Raimi's early career with the Evil Dead movies has a lot of the camera coming at you and shaking when stuff's attacking people, which they do in this a couple times, most specifically when the dead spirits are coming after Strange for using the dream walk while they're attacking Christine. So, or Christina, what's her name? Christina?
Yeah, it's Christine.
So, all that
Palmer,
yeah. So all that stuff's really cool. I mean, obviously, my fan casting, I've always wanted John Krasinski to be Mr. Fantastic, and I finally saw it in this episode, and I really hope it. He was awesome. I really hope it sticks. The costume looked great too.
He works. He has that quiet, and he can play that quiet intelligence.
Yeah, and even his intro was great when he's like Steven, it's just so like. And I
think he dropped a line that says they're going to keep him as Reed.
I hope so, God, because I would love for that to continue.
But I think that line was where he's the only one that looks at Doctor Strange and says, like, "I'm your friend."
Yeah.
So they're going to meet again.
Well, maybe not that version.
To pay off that friendship. Oh, I think they will.
You think that version from that universe will meet him again? I don't think so. Being that he got
no,
spaghetti.
He's dead.
But
I mean, did we ever spoil the crap out of this?
We said we were going to.
That's
people could have left if they weren't going to listen to it. So, obviously the seeing Patrick Stewart back as Professor X was nice.
Was it
in here, even when he appears, they even had the theme song to the original X-Men cartoon play. Did you hear that in the score?
Yes.
Yeah. So when he first pulls up, the score actually goes into.
I think he's playing cartoon Professor Xavier, because he even does, when he's using his powers, he even does this, like this, the same.
Well, I think this universe itself is unique because, it's just very Captain Carter's there. So in this universe,
she was awesome,
Peggy Carter was the one who got the super soldier serum. So probably different than the What If series as well. So, we've got more tools from different universes that worked out the same in this universe. So that's just something they're playing with. But hearing that little riff of they chose the X-Men 93 theme to play when he appeared, which is really a nice touch too. And Danny Elfman did the score, so I'm not sure if that's something he did. Actually, I know it's not, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I absolutely 100% loved it. Obviously, they make connections that Reed has kids, and it's married, so there's a woman who lives in this universe. I loved it thoroughly all the way through. And
as well as Franklin and Valeria.
Yes, and maybe Hyperstorm, the grandson of Franklin from the future. If you want to get too deep into the lore of the Fantastic Four. But anywho, I loved it very much. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies for sure.
That's what's working with Andre.
Wow, that was a long segment.
It was.
Yeah.
We spend our midday sweat, our midnight oil. We tire the night in thought, the day in toil.
It's working with Davin. You know what? Things were working. But now I just found out I got a flat tire, and I'm not very happy about that. So,
boo.
Yeah.
Boo, fate, boo.
I know. That changed my whole friggin' day.
Well, hopefully it's just, you can patch it.
Yeah. Maybe. Probably not. Probably have to replace it. Oh, well. Anyway. What's working with Davin? Man, that tire thing's really annoying me. Well, my cousin Dave was in town. That was fun.
Ooh,
from
cousin Dave.
Anyone who listens to my Star Trek stuff probably knows cousin Dave, because he has his own Star Trek podcast, and I plug his stuff on this show every week. But he was in town from Ontario, and it was fun.
Very nice.
We imbibed and ate brownies, and then did a Star Trek podcast.
Very nice. One thing I did forget to mention what's working with me that we can slide in what's working with Davin, because I doubt you had a chance to watch it yet, is tonight the She-Hulk trailer dropped. I watched it just before the podcast.
I have not.
It just dropped, and we see lots of She-Hulk.
god.
We see Tim Roth and Abomination.
Oh my god, I can't wait. That's the show I'm looking forward to the most. She's my favorite Avenger.
We briefly see Leapfrog. We briefly see other
Oh my
characters
god,
that make appearance.
Leapfrog.
Yes, we also see a lot of.
God.
We also see a lot of.
We're gonna bring out all the like comedy villains. You're gonna get Stiltman. We're gonna get everybody.
I hope so. Rumor has it that Charlie Cox will be in the series playing Matt Murdock as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We also see quite a.
each other.
We see quite a bit of. Why can't I think of his name right now? The actor that plays the Hulk. We see quite a bit of his Hulk.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. Yes, he's in it very much. A lot of Tatiana Maslany in both in full green garb awesome. and non-green garb. Yeah, she is awesome. So I'm super pumped, and it looks really good. It looks really fun. It reminds me a lot of Dan Slott and John Burns runs on the comic, which are my favorites. So. And it even appears based in the trailer. It even mentions that her division of law is superhero based or superpower based. She works for a firm that's starting a super powered based arm of their law firm, so that she's involved in. So
Howard the Duck will probably end up in this series too. That
would be amazing. I would be super on board for that.
They live in the same building in the comics for a while.
In Dan Slott's comic, yeah.
Yeah. I like Charles Soule's She-Hulk run a lot.
Yes, I feel like I don't know if I read that. I'm gonna have to go back and look for that.
Oh, I have it if you want to borrow it. It's amazing.
I may have.
He was a lawyer.
Yes,
Charles Soule.
Yeah. So. He did Daredevil as well for quite a while.
Yeah, his Daredevil run didn't hit me as well as the She-Hulk run. I like me some Daredevil, and I do have the first few issues of it, but it didn't quite grab me.
All right.
It wasn't bad. It certainly wasn't bad. Well, do we want to play a game, or do you want to just end on a reasonable time?
Well, we can talk about X-Men 97 because I have one thing I'd like to bring up.
Oh, perfect. Let's do it. Let's party like it's apostrophe.
Rock and roll.
What? Oh yeah, I changed it.
Glad y'all decided to join the party.
Rock and roll, X-Geeks. All right.
You added that in there, did you?
Apostrophe 97, yeah.
So, in the Doctor Strange movie, as I mentioned earlier, when Professor X appears, the music plays a small riff of the X-Men theme song from this show. However, I thought interesting is Danny Elfman did the score, who did these Spider-Man movies with Sam Raimi. So obviously he went back to an old friend. Elfman, of course, made some news lately when he did his shirtless thing at Coachella. He's fucking jacked for a dude in the 70s almost. Anywho, if you watch the credits all the way to the end, which I did to see the post-credit scenes, and you look at the music credits at the end, they actually call it X-Men theme 97 with the apostrophe. And then it says the name of the artist who had done it. So I don't know if that is a sneak peek at the redone theme song.
So they're gonna. I kind of just assumed they were just gonna use the old one, but I suppose they wouldn't.
But it actually says 97, which caught my eye because that is the name of the show, and the X-Men cartoon that we know and love was not in 97. So
I'm telling you, he's playing that version.
Maybe so, but it doesn't matter. I mean,
I guess he can't.
Obviously, not because dead, and it doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
Although it could, I guess, because it would be where the story
version.
took place. Well, the new show takes place in 97, so he could have survived it and then went on to get killed by the Scarlet Witch in modern times. But
very cool.
Regardless, yes, it is say party like it does say X-Men theme 97 in the credits. So I'm wondering if this is perhaps a sneak peek at the actual theme song for the new 97 show.
I think it might have been.
Why would they do that otherwise?
Yeah, good grab. It's homework excited. From Professor Xandre.
Ooh, this is a new segment.
Yeah.
So yeah, watch the next episode. The next episode is Mojo Vision, is it not?
It is.
Mojo Vision, which hopefully we may have returning friend of the show, David Cutler, Marvel artist, working on Moon Girl and it was the Moon Girl and the X-Men was coming up, and just recently did the Marvel Voices the Marvel Voices Heritage comic, but most recently did the Thunderbird one shot that just came out,
which was very good. I gotta say, the art was amazing in it, and I like the new redesign of Thunderbird. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I'm just trying to look up to see if they say who did that version of the theme song. Doesn't say. Yep.
Well, why don't you tell us about the Graphic Histories podcast in the meantime?
Oh, this is my show in which I interview people in the comics world, nerddom in general, about their place in nerddom, usually comic people or anybody related to anything sci-fi, fantasy, comics, anything like that. So this week's guest, I just got the episode up today. I mean, up to post on Saturday, but mixed today. It was with Don Watson, who does a comic called Jurassic Warp. I'd interviewed him last Monday, but I just got it kind of compiled today and set up to post on Saturday. So yeah, you can catch that on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Stitcher, and the other one I always forget, Spotify. So yeah, check it out there or on the website graphichistories.com.
I'll listen to that after I listen to my own Star Trek podcast, so you don't have to. But you, dear listener, can certainly check out Locutors of Trek. What's coming up? We're going to do a Debate 9 soon, and its follow-up show, which is a new show that we do called Class L Probe, where we do deep dives on some of the questions from Debate 9. Discuss them in more detail, and yeah. Because there's a lot of them that deserve more time. Debate 9 are like minute debates, and some of these questions need to be fleshed out a little more. And my cousin Dave, check out his podcast, Live Long Podcast. My cousin Jeff as well. Jameel, who we've had on the show.
Yeah, Jamil's great. We need to get him back on here.
Yeah, he just works late. So
Damn
he
it,
had to
Jamil.
leave work early to be on the show last time.
Quit your job, Jamil, and podcast full time. Come on now.
Yeah,
Do
it.
Do
Super Mated Brothers Trivia Debates. Check all that stuff out. You can contact us at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com, or that doesn't really happen too often, but people do talk to us on the Facebooks. So people can follow us on Facebook at X-Men Review Show, twitch.tv/X-Men Animated Reviews, and on YouTube/X-Men Review Show. Yeah. Where? You can check out our audio-only versions wherever you get your podcasts, on all the things, pretty much all of them. Yeah, check it out. Sometimes I fix some of the audio up for those if there's some bad audio, which sometimes there is because I need a new computer, and now I need to buy a tire first. So
the hits keep on coming.
Oh man, don't they? And if you like our show, please like, review, and or subscribe. And we love hearing from you anyway. We've got we like your correspondences. We've been getting some more of those lately.
Yeah, no, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, anything else to say, Andre?
No, just make sure you watch next week's episode and stay safe, have fun, and keep enjoying Read comics. Read comics. That's my number one thing.
Yeah, that's pretty good advice. Read comics and watch cartoons based on them.
Yes, that is true too.
Yes. All right. Catch you next time, everybody.
Next time.
1, 2, 3.